You clicked on this video because deep down you already know something is missing. You feel it in the way she pulls back, in the way her attention slips away, in the way you can give her everything and still feel like it's not enough. And let me shock you with the truth. She doesn't think about you every hour of the day because you've given her no reason to. You've been too predictable, too available, too easy to understand. And a man who is fully understood is never desired, he is dismissed. What if I told you that after today, after what I reveal in this video, she will not be able to get you out of her head? She will think about you when she wakes up. She will think about you before she sleeps. She will think about you when she's with her friends. And she will even think about you when she's with another man. Because obsession is not born from love alone. It's born from the way you position yourself in her mind. And most men position themselves like cheap, overused songs, played out, predictable, forgettable. But you are about to learn how to become the song she cannot stop replaying, the one she hums without realizing, the one that keeps echoing in her chest long after the music has stopped. Stay with me until the very end, because what I'm about to share is not theory. It's not sweet talk. It's raw truth backed by psychology, by human nature itself. Miss even 1 second, and you will miss the very secret that keeps a woman's mind circling you 24/7. If you've ever wondered why she isn't glued to you, why she doesn't wake up in the morning with you on her mind or fall asleep thinking about you, the answer is not because she doesn't have feelings. The answer is because she has figured you out too quickly. And when a woman has you completely figured out, when she knows exactly how you will respond, exactly what you will say, exactly how available you are, she loses the thrill. Desire does not grow in the soil of predictability. It grows in the mystery of uncertainty. A man who is fully decoded becomes invisible, but a man who cannot be pinned down becomes unforgettable. Think about it. What do people remember most? The things they cannot fully understand. The places they want to go but have not yet seen. The questions that keep them up at night because there's no easy answer. That's how the human brain works. It craves puzzles. It craves uncertainty. It craves the unknown. And when you make yourself fully known, when you serve yourself on a silver platter without her needing to earn it, you kill the very obsession you are desperate for her to feel. Mystery does not mean playing games. It does not mean being cold or cruel. It means holding back enough of yourself that she is always leaning in, always curious, always hungry for more. The worst thing you can do as a man is make her feel like she already has you wrapped around her finger. Because the moment she feels certain, she stops investing. But the moment she feels uncertain about how deep your feelings go, uncertain about whether she truly has your full attention, that's when her thoughts start to spiral. She replays your words. She analyzes your silence. She wonders what's going on in your mind. And once she starts to wonder, she cannot stop. That wondering becomes obsession. Let me tell you something that sounds almost paradoxical. The less you reveal, the more she imagines. And the more she imagines, the more power you have over her mind. If you always text back within seconds, if you always say yes to her plans, if you always explain yourself, you leave nothing for her imagination to build on. But if you create pauses, if you sometimes step back, if you hold pieces of your life sacred and private, she begins to fill in the blanks. And when she fills in those blanks, she does it with intensity. She creates a story about you, and that story grows larger than reality. That is how you live in her head rent-free. Now, let's look at it from a psychological level. Desire is not about possession. Desire is about pursuit. The moment she feels she has completely possessed you, her pursuit ends. And when pursuit ends, desire evaporates. But if you remain just slightly out of reach, not because you're manipulating her, but because you're a man who has his own world, his own boundaries, his own self-respect, then she is forever reaching. And that reaching keeps her hooked. She thinks about you not because you force her to, but because you've left her mind no choice. Men who are easily predictable are forgettable. Men who are mysterious are unforgettable. A man who respects himself, who doesn't overshare every detail, who doesn't make himself too accessible, becomes the man she replays in her head when she's driving alone, when she's lying in bed, when she's talking with her friends. He becomes the man who lingers like a shadow in her thoughts. And this is not about manipulation. It's about understanding the human condition. Mystery is not a tactic, it is a law of attraction itself. So if you want her to think about you 24/7, stop trying to fill every silence with words. Stop trying to answer every question. Stop trying to prove who you are. Let her discover you slowly, layer by layer, the way you would savor a novel that reveals itself chapter by chapter. Because the moment you stop giving everything all at once, you become the man she cannot stop chasing in her mind. And here is the truth I want you to walk away with. A woman cannot obsess over a man she fully understands, but she will never forget the man she never completely figured out. If you really want to know why she doesn't value you the way you think she should, it's because you've made yourself too available. And availability without boundaries kills desire faster than anything else. Think about this carefully. Human beings are wired to undervalue what is easily accessible and overvalue what is scarce. It's the principle of psychology, economics, and even spirituality. When something is everywhere, it loses its shine. When something is rare, it becomes priceless. The same applies to you. When you are always at her call, always ready to respond, always dropping everything in your life for her, you are telling her without words that your time, your attention, your energy are cheap. You are saying, take as much as you want, I'll always be here. And the cruel truth is that no woman will obsess over something she believes will never leave her. The mind obsesses over what it fears losing, not what it can casually take for granted. Scarcity is not about manipulation, it is about protecting your own value. A man who respects his time, who does not give it freely to anyone who asks, automatically becomes more attractive. Why? Because scarcity triggers desire. If your life is so full of purpose, growth, and discipline that you cannot be available every second, she feels that. And instead of feeling neglected, she feels magnetized. She begins to wonder, what is he doing? Why is he not running after me? Why doesn't he need me in the way other men do? And that wondering is where attraction multiplies. There's a reason people fight for limited edition items, not the mass-produced ones. There's a reason diamonds hold more value than rocks on the ground. Scarcity creates demand. When you become a man who doesn't hand out his attention like a cheap product, but instead protects it as something rare, she instinctively respects it. She wants it more. She thinks about it more. She begins to crave it because it is not always there. Now, here is the deeper psychological layer. We are all driven by what psychologists call the scarcity heuristic. Our brains are hardwired to place higher value on things that are limited or difficult to obtain. When you treat yourself as common, she treats you as common. When you treat yourself as rare, she treats you as rare. And here's the part most men don't realize: being scarce doesn't mean being absent. It means being intentional. It means when you give her attention, it is powerful, it is present, it is undeniable. But you don't drown her with it. It's like fire. Too little, and she freezes. Too much, and she suffocates. The perfect balance keeps her warm, but always aware that without it, she would feel the loss. Many men fall into the trap of thinking that constant presence equals love. They confuse obsession with availability, but what they create instead is boredom. A woman does not want to be suffocated, she wants to be challenged. She wants a man who has a life so full that when he chooses to give her time, she knows it means something. She wants to feel that she has earned her place in your world, not that you handed it to her on day one. Scarcity forces her to invest. When you are not always there, she begins to chase. She initiates the calls. She sends the texts. She wonders why you are not always waiting at her doorstep. She starts putting in effort because she feels the possibility of loss. And when she invests, she bonds deeper. What we fight for, we value. What we are given freely, we discard. That is human nature. So here is the truth. If you want her to think about you 24/7, you must not be a man she can reach 24/7. You must be the man who protects his time like treasure, who makes her earn pieces of him, who never floods her with so much attention that it becomes noise. She will respect the pauses. She will crave the silences. She will begin to obsess over the gaps, because it is in the absence that the heart feels presence the most. And I'll leave you with this. The easiest way to lose her mind is to give her all of yours. The surest way to live in her head is to show her that your world does not revolve around her. Scarcity creates value. Value creates obsession. And obsession is what makes her think of you, not sometimes, but every single day. If there is one truth that separates men who are unforgettable from men who are ignored, it is this: self-worth is magnetic. A woman may admire your looks. She may appreciate your charm. She may even enjoy your company. But what she will truly obsess over is your sense of worth. Because worth cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It is either rooted deep in your being or it is absent. And when it is absent, no amount of chasing, pleasing, or proving will ever make her see you as valuable. Let me explain why. A man who knows his value does not negotiate it with anyone, not even with the woman he loves. He doesn't beg for respect. He commands it by the way he carries himself. He doesn't fear rejection because he understands that rejection cannot reduce his worth. And he does not collapse when love is withheld because he has already built a life that sustains him. This kind of man is rare. This kind of man becomes unforgettable, and this is exactly the kind of man a woman cannot get out of her mind. When you are desperate for her approval, she feels it. She senses the insecurity under your words, the neediness behind your actions, and whether consciously or not, she pulls away, because no woman wants to be burdened with the task of proving a man's value to him. That is his job. And the moment you put that responsibility on her, you lose the very attraction you're trying to secure. But when you walk into her life already grounded, already whole, already rooted in your purpose, you shift the entire dynamic. She is not the one validating you. You are the one inspiring her. And that shift makes her unable to stop thinking about you. Self-worth is not arrogance. It is not about being loud, dominant, or controlling. True worth is quiet. It is the unshakable calm in your presence, the confidence in your silence, the strength in your boundaries. It is the ability to walk away when you are not respected, not because you don't care, but because you care too much about yourself to stay where you are diminished. And when you live by that standard, she sees it, she feels it, and she cannot ignore it. There is a reason why women are drawn to men who appear untouchable, who do not bend to every demand, who seem centered even when tested. It's because self-worth radiates like a force field. It communicates without words. I am not desperate. I am not replaceable. I am not waiting for you to decide my value. And that energy alone creates obsession. She will think about you not because you beg her to, but because her subconscious cannot release the image of a man who stands so firmly in himself. On a deeper psychological level, people chase what they believe is valuable. They fight for what feels rare. And here is the paradox. When you truly embody self-worth, you don't need her chase. You don't need her obsession. But it is precisely that lack of need that draws her in. The man who is whole without her becomes the man she wants most. The man who can survive her absence is the man she longs to keep. Because in her mind, he is not a boy begging to be loved. He is a man she is lucky to have earned access to. And let's be clear, self-worth is not built overnight. It is the product of discipline, of purpose, of knowing who you are beyond her. It comes from creating a life that excites you even without her in it. It comes from setting boundaries that protect your energy. It comes from saying no when you are disrespected, even if it costs you her presence. And that is why so few men have it. Most would rather cling than risk losing. Most would rather bend than stand tall. But the ones who choose to stand, the ones who choose themselves, those are the men who live in her mind forever. So understand this. Obsession is not created by desperate effort. It is created by presence, by mystery, by scarcity, and finally by self-worth. And self-worth is the anchor of it all. Without it, everything else falls apart. With it, you don't even have to try. You simply are the man she cannot forget. And here's the closing truth. When you finally decide to respect yourself first, she will either rise to meet you, or she will lose you. Either way, you win. Because the man who knows his worth is never truly chasing. He is always being chased.